When I was around 9 or 10 years old, I remember waking up to see a large shadow standing at the foot of my bed. I was living with my dad at the time. He has a very large 5-floor terrace house built in the 1800s. Every so often, there would be an unexplainable event, such as footsteps when there's no one there or voices. On the night this happened, it was just my dad and I in the house. My sister was staying with my mom at the time. I woke up and noticed the door to my room was wide open. I normally sleep with it closed. I then became aware of a large, around 7 feet tall, shadow-like figure watching me from the end of the bed. When the figure noticed me looking, it seemed to melt into the floor, and the door to my room slammed shut. Understandably, I was slightly traumatized by the whole experience. Asked my dad the next day if he was in my room, and he denied any knowledge of the event. He's not the type of person who likes jokes.
I was babysitting my niece when she was 2 years old. My sister was renting a very old house that was built in the 1930s. I'm alone in the place with her, while my sister is working overnight. It's about 11 at night, and she's been asleep for a couple hours at this point. I'm watching TV in the living room and see her running down the dark hallway. She stopped just before the entryway to the living room, and I jokingly said, "You better get back to bed, or I'm gonna get you." I got up to get her back in bed, turned the hallway light on, and I found that her bedroom door was still closed. I opened it to find my niece completely passed out in her bed, drooling and everything. It wasn't my niece I saw in the hallway, so I took her to sleep with me that night.
When I was younger, I lived in a small house that was really dark and quiet at night. I always woke up around midnight most nights and would look for something to eat in the kitchen. So one night, as per usual, I woke up and went to grab the first slice of bread from the new bread my mom bought that day. The kitchen is completely dark besides the 2 small windows that were fogged, so no one could look in. There was this small corner around my fridge that was just dark, like darker than the rest of the kitchen, even when there was light hitting it. However, I was partially asleep, so I didn't think much of it. So when I went to grab the slice of bread, something hit me in the face. I went to wipe it off my face, and all I felt were just these long, long fingers. I was terrified and ran back to my room, and as I ran, I could hear and feel something chasing me, and I could hear all kinds of things falling behind me as I ran back to my room, frightened as hell. When I got to my room, I shut my door and felt my eye, and it was bleeding. To this day, I have a scar. Never have I encountered something that terrifying again.
I used to live in an old, big 5-bedroom house with 6 other people. My husband and I shared one of the rooms. I saw a stranger in my room when I was in my 20s. It wasn't exactly visible, but I somehow knew it was right there, in the corner of the room. My husband was next to me, sleeping. While I had my eyes open, I knew it was there. So I closed my eyes. I tried to wish it away. I opened my eyes, and it was now next to the bed, looking at me. I closed my eyes again, and suddenly relief came. I opened my eyes. Nothing there. I saw it once again at the stairs. It was only a brief moment this time, and then it was gone.
My uncle's house out on a very eastern part of New York was said to be haunted because the family that used to own it in the 1800s decided not to give it to the stableman and sold it instead. My uncle's friend and her sister stayed over one night, and the friend noticed a maid bringing towels down the stairs when she woke. She saw the maid again, bringing what looked like a percolator down the stairs. She was so impressed by my uncle hiring staff. He is a neurologist in New York City, so he had a habit of spending a little bit extra. She went back to bed and woke up, and later came downstairs to see my uncle and his friend just chatting. She asked where the maid went and thought that the maid was cooking breakfast. My uncle had no idea what she was talking about and asked what she looked like. The sister explained, and he laughed. Walked her to the living room and pointed to an old picture. She said that was the woman. My uncle replied, "Yeah, she has been dead for about 100 years."